Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Adwar,
I'm Peter Goodman.
and welcome to
Real
Essentials. Okay, so over the last month or so, I probably have gotten asked about 10 times, should I buy this house or apartment in a corporate name, in a trust, or my personal name? So I figured a lot of people interested in it.
Yep.
I'd ask you, what advice would you give somebody
Well,
who asked you that question?
Of course, it depends on what you're buying.
Right.
But corporations, or we usually do limited liability companies, there are some basic differences to much to go
LLCs,
into.
okay.
But LLCs, it's a company. The reason to buy in a company is really liability, especially if you're buying a 2-family or 3-family. Maybe it's what we call a taxpayer. You're living in the property and your tenants are paying the mortgage, the taxes, etc. If someone slips and falls, yeah, you have insurance, but if the property is in a corporation or a company, you're going to avoid being sued for anything outside of what the corporation owns, which is the house. So that's why people do it, especially for an investment property where you're not living in the property. You know, someone slips and falls on the sidewalk, snow and ice, issues like that.
So why would I do it on let's say I'm buying a house for $1.5 million, which is not as far-fetched as it used to be in many places, right? So I'm buying a big house. Why are those people putting them in corporate names versus their primary names? And it's a primary residence, so it's a family, a really big one family.
Really same rules. It's a closely held corporation, you still get a lot of the tax benefits that you're going to get for regular home ownership. But I have a client right now. He bought a property, and they had one of those e-bikes, and you see the e-bikes that people get those bad batteries from foreign countries that just are not safe, and caused a huge fire, and someone died in the house, and it was tragic. And the insurance, while they have $1 million worth of insurance, that might not cover it. So that's a good reason to do it.
Okay.
Now, another thing we were mentioning when you talk about corporations is trusts also. That's another thing, especially if the primary residence, trusts seem to be a little bit more popular.
Well, you're self-employed, so let's just say you did something bad, something wrong, and they wanted to sue you personally as well. They could come after your home. Anybody who's self-employed should own their primary in a corporate name, so to take it out of the liability, or
not necessarily. Look, any assets I own. So a corporation, if I'm a member of that LLC or a shareholder in the corporation, that's still an asset of mine. So they can come after that asset if they're going to sue me personally. It's where if they sue the corporation. So look at a corporation or a trust or an LLC as its own person. It's an entity.
Okay.
So if my entity ABC LLC owns a house, and then ABCDEF owns house number 2.
Right.
Someone falls in the first house, they can only sue for what's that entity owns, what that person.
Right. So
owns.
Peter Goodman Law and 123 Main Street LLC. If something happens with Peter Goodman Law, they're not going after 123 Main Street LLC because
if Peter Goodman Law is a company.
Yes.
Then yeah. Well, it's a little different because we're lawyers.
Right.
But assuming that I owned a regular
yeah.
company, the short answer is yes. Right. The short answer is yes, as long as assuming the company is at fault. Okay. If the person's at fault, then any assets that person owns, so if they own shares in that company, they could be subject.
So I have this woman, and she is 76 years old, and she wants to buy a new house in a trust.
Right.
So what happens there?
Now that's a great question. So there are multiple types of trusts, but we're going to talk about the two basics that people buy houses in. One is called an irrevocable trust.
Right.
One is called a revocable trust.
Okay.
Both of them give you the ability to avoid going to probate. So someone passes away, the person who owns the property passes away, especially in New York right now, certain surrogates courts can take 6 months or more to get through that process. So now all of a sudden you have a property that's doing nothing for that period of time, and nobody can do anything. Nobody can refinance a mortgage, nobody can pay bills. So you want to put the property into a trust. It protects you from the probate. But number one, an irrevocable trust where the property is really, you can't change it, you can't take it back, you can't really get a mortgage.
Yeah, no, we can't give a mortgage on that.
On a revocable trust, you can. So it gives you that probate. It doesn't protect you against creditors necessarily, but it allows you to avoid having to worry about if someone passes away.
What's the 5-year look back that everybody talks about, Pete?
So that's Medicaid.
Okay.
So what a lot of people do, older people especially, they try to make themselves, they deplete their assets so they can get Medicaid. When someone's in a nursing home,
Okay.
most common example, someone goes into the nursing home, it can cost $10,000-$15,000 a month
Wow.
in that care. So if Medicaid is paying a portion of it, great. But what happens if Medicaid is paying it, and then you pass away, they could put a lien on the house, and it could be thousands of dollars, obviously. So if you do some estate planning early on, you don't worry about that. But if you do that, and if someone puts it into a trust, or excuse me, you own the property, you get Medicaid, you get the nursing home, you don't have the property protected in irrevocable trust or some other vehicle, what will happen is now all of a sudden they pass away, and it's less than 5 years since they made a transfer of the property, Medicaid can go back.
And the clients I've referred to for the trust have all given you great reviews, so you do a great job. Okay, so give us a call if you're thinking about doing any of the three, whether it's corporate name, trust, or you're buying and you just want to see if putting it in your personal name is the right thing for you. Give us a call, send us an email at the numbers below. All right, have a great day, guys.
Have a good one.